All right, you guys, so we are heading out with a ride with the Broken Chains. They are a Christian organization. It is a motorcycle ministry. We're going to be heading up to meet them at a church over in Niles, Ohio. Then we're going to be hopping on some back roads, and we're going to be heading up to the Allegheny Grill. It is Memorial Day. We're trying to have a nice ride here this weekend, so just wanted to get you guys a nice little video up. I'll try to get some good pictures of the area. The restaurant we're going to has a great scenic view, so I'll also be filming some of the ride as well. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day. All right, so as you guys can see, we started our ride out at Grace Fellowship Church. It's out in Niles, Ohio. It was a pretty decent sized group of people. We had about 13 people all together. Ian's wife was in the ride here, Jen. She had just bought a Dyna, a 2016 Dyna. She was originally on a Sportster and now is on the Dyna. So Ian took his Dyna, Roy, his wife, a bunch of great people. So anytime I have ever been with the Broken Chains members, it is a good time. Very humble people, salt of the earth people, very dedicated motorcycle riders. So they get together at least every weekend and they go for a ride, and it's just a good time, a time for everybody to get away, get on their bikes, forget everything else that's going on, and get out and enjoy themselves. So a really cool group of people, dedicated riders, and it was a great time. The ride was leading us from Niles, Ohio. We were taking back roads pretty much the entire way out to Foxburg, Pennsylvania. We were heading to the Allegheny Grill. This is an absolutely amazing ride. We could have taken the highway the entire time and it would have cut probably about a half an hour, 40 minutes off of the trip, but so much better to take back roads to get out there and enjoy yourself. My wife was having a blast. She loves getting out and riding with large groups of people, so she was out there on her 1200 Sportster. I had just completed the install on my intake manifold, so this was actually my first real ride with that S&S 55mm intake manifold on my bike, and it did not disappoint me. The bike handles amazingly. Feels like the throttle response is a little bit better, so when I roll on the throttle, it is almost instant, to where before there might have been a little bit of a lag. You would crack the throttle and kind of play catch up, or at least feel like you were playing catch up. Not with this intake manifold, so you can definitely tell that it is putting the fuel right where it needs to go. It's directly injecting it in there. There's no hesitation. The bike is not starving for fuel or air at this point. Handles absolutely amazingly. I can't be any more happy with the way it turned out. So the bike is almost 100% set up exactly how I want it. The saddleman seat was amazingly comfortable. My rear shock is adjusted perfectly at this point. So the bike is set up 100% for me, and man, I can't even explain the difference day and night, how this bike feels, handles, and performs compared to where it was at stock. So you guys can see my wife there on the right hand side of me on her 48. That bike's probably going to need some rear suspension. We talked about that after this ride, so She liked it, she enjoyed it, but she knows that it is lacking in the comfort area. So we'll get a little bit taller shock on there, something that rides a little more plush so that she's not really suffering over them big bumps. I don't know if we'll be able to see any here, but there were a couple train tracks that we went over where we had to stand up. One of the best parts about this trip was going through a lot of these small towns. So we went through New Wilmington, which is a smaller kind of farm town, a lot of Amish. We also went through the town of Valant, which you guys will see coming up here. Valant is also a very heavy populated Amish town, so they have a bunch of little stores that have a lot of Amish baked goods and candies and stuff like that. So it was also a little different because this is the first ride that I have ever been on where I was following behind a Can-Am Spider. So it took me a while to get used to the way that those ride and how they were riding in front of us. So just a little bit different following behind a machine like that, because that machine stops a lot faster, handles a lot differently. I did see where they were very close to the right hand side of the road and they would hit some heavy bumps and it would kind of jar the Can-Am Spider a little bit, and you would see how the suspension reacted and handled. So it was kind of cool to see how that machine handled. I don't know if I'd ever ride one myself. I'm a very devout Harley Davidson rider, so to me, I prefer to stay on two wheels. But the couple that were on the Spider seemed to enjoy themselves very much. The bike was very quick, it accelerated very quick, it seemed to handle really well. It just seemed like sometimes that independent suspension would kind of jar the rider when you would hit something like a large pothole on the right hand side. So I was kind of keeping my distance a lot so that I could kind of judge his riding style and things like that. Just a normal thing that I do when I'm riding in a large group of people. Alright, so here we are entering the small town of Valant. This town is very nice to ride through. There's a lot of little Amish stores, little buildings. I would highly recommend that if you guys have never been here, that you stop out here at least once in your lifetime and check it out. They make all kinds of homemade candy, all kinds of homemade fudge. There's a bunch of really cool restaurants out here that you can go to and spend some time just getting lost and exploring this area and the heritage of the Pennsylvania Dutch. It's always a really good time every time we've been down there. Their baked goods are out of this world. I absolutely love their baked goods. So I come to this place all the time. I've been here a lot before, and anytime that I get a chance, I'll come out here and spend a day just walking around and checking out the shops and supporting the locals out here because they do highly rely upon it. So I just wanted to get you guys up this video here because it was a nice, lazy Memorial Day ride. It was a lot of back roads, 50, 55 mile an hour, a lot of wooded and rural areas. Absolutely gorgeous. The Pennsylvania countryside, hands down, is one of my favorites to ride through. That being said, I compare it to riding through the countryside out in Colorado. Absolutely gorgeous. Everything is green and lush out here in western Pennsylvania. The roads are winding. There's a lot of elevation changes. So it's really fun. If you're not in a large group of people, You can go a little faster, you can enjoy some of the bends a little bit more, but it's even more exciting when you are in a large group because you are anticipating the movements of the people in front of you, behind you, and to the side of you, as well as riding through the Pennsylvania countryside. You see a lot of really cool scenery, a lot of cows, a lot of dairy farms, and then you'll go into areas that are just heavily wooded, heavily shaded. So on our Memorial Day ride, it was probably about 85 degrees outside, but with all the tree coverage, it felt really nice. The weather was absolutely perfect. I could not have asked for a better day. I couldn't have asked for a better ride, and I could not have asked for better people to share it with. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. There's a really interesting story I wanted to tell you guys that happened out here. So my buddy Ian was in front of us. He was on his Dyna. He had just recently got this Dyna all back together. So when he bought the bike, he kind of rode a power wheelie through the parking lot and ended up in a precarious altercation where he it's like the throttle stuck open on the bike and it just opened up and the bike ended up getting wrecked, and he's been working on this bike, getting it all back together, and just put some handlebars back on the bike. And it was probably about 10-15 minutes away from the restaurant that we were going to. His bike just shut off, lost all power. So pulled over on the side of the road. We were trying to figure out what happened with the bike. Here, I believe it was a short wire. Something was grounding out where he put the new handlebars in. So he blew a 15 amp fuse to his ignition, and we ended up finding some guy in a Tesla who pulled over, and of all things, the Tesla driver was able to provide us with a 20 amp fuse. We put that in and that popped. Then we had a guy with us, Ron Martin, really good person. He gave us a 30 amp spare fuse that he had, and it popped that one as well. So we ended up pushing Ian's bike off to the side of the road in somebody's driveway, left a note on it, and then I had to ride Ian on the back of my bike. So first time I've ever had a grown man on the back of my bike. We ended up getting to the restaurant, and he ended up riding my wife's bike the rest of the trip, and then rode it back home. So we'll skip some of this here and get to the good stuff. All right, so here we are pulling into the parking lot of the Allegheny Grill. It's absolutely gorgeous. This restaurant is nestled right into the side of the Allegheny River. You cross a big bridge to get over. Over there on the left, that is Mr. Ron Martin. Just wanted to thank him for being able to help us with our fuse situation. He was on a concourse, which is probably one of the best handling sport bikes, adventure touring bikes that you can get. Very powerful motorcycle. So he loves that bike and was able to fly down the road, get to somebody's house. He followed the Tesla driver to the guy's house and was able to pick up a fuse and get back to us. And we were very proud to have him with us, helped us out through that situation. So here we are parking and getting ready to go into the restaurant to eat. We'll skip forward here a little bit and I'll show you guys some pictures that I took while we were inside, some of the group, some of the restaurant, some of the river, and then we will get you some more footage of us leaving.
Well, you made it.
That was a good one.
We only had to break the law for about a quarter mile, all right?
talking about the motorcycle law or the actual law?
There were no pictures
You're not
of
supposed to
taking
ride
Both.
both.
two on the bike.
No,
together at
no.
Did you take a picture? My camera wouldn't snap.
all. More than a couple times.
Oh yeah. That color is gorgeous.
What's that?
That color is gorgeous.
You like it? You want it?
All right, so that was me telling Roy that I like the color of his bike. Probably one of the funniest people that I've ever met. Really humble, really cool, really down to earth guy. Absolutely love riding with him and Ian and their group. So I highly recommend that you guys find some really cool people to ride with. I've rode with everything from 1% clubs to motorcycle ministries, and I can tell you what, I have a good time no matter who I'm riding with, and I always surround myself with really good people. So get yourself a group of really good riding buddies, and the possibilities and the fun are endless. As you guys can see, that was Ian in front of me. He is riding my wife's bike home. He took that bike all the way back to his house, and then we were able to go pick it up later. He got his bike. Everything was good. We had a great adventure. The food is absolutely amazing. I would give the Allegheny Grill 5 stars. Hands down, probably the best food I've ever had out on a road trip. Felt like we were in a 5-star restaurant. So if you guys are ever in the Western Pennsylvania area, make sure you look up the Allegheny Grill because it is worth the ride. All right, you guys, what is up? Just got back from a long trip, so we rode out with the Broken Chains guys. We did a big ride out through Pennsylvania. It was supposed to be like an hour-and-a-half ride. And I do apologize, I'm driving right now, but I gotta go pick my son up. It's supposed to be an hour-and-a-half ride out there. It ended up turning into 7 hours. So one of my buddy's motorcycles broke down on the side of the road. He just ended up getting no power. So we pulled a bunch of fuses off on the side of the road. I'm gonna put some content in of the ride so you guys can see how absolutely beautiful the ride was out there. Absolutely amazing food too. The place is called the Allegheny Grill. It was a great ride. The food was absolutely amazing, but we were probably 5 miles from the restaurant and Ian's bike went down. So pulled over on the side of the road. This is just a 2-lane country road, 55 mile an hour. So it was a little bit sketchy trying to work on the bike. He pulled out his battery charger. We were checking out everything with the bike. We pulled all the fuses. The fuse to his ignition fuse popped. We ended up finding another 15 amp fuse. We put that in. Soon as he went to hit that ignition, just turned the ignition on his tank, popped that fuse. So then we even tried to run it's a 15 amp fuse. We tried to run a 25 amp fuse in there. Same thing, he went to turn that ignition and pop. So we ended up parking his bike on the side of the road. I was gonna show you guys my garage because there's only one of the bikes in there right now. So my wife hopped on my bike with me because she is a trooper and she let Ian ride her bike home. So we just got back. It ended up turning into a complete fiasco. So, but you'll have that when you ride bikes. So we got to spend some great time together, me and the wife. We got to enjoy our ride, go get some great food with some really good people. I can't say enough about the Broken Chains guys. They are absolutely amazing. Salt of the earth, absolutely humble people, and give you the shirt off their back. Super nice people. So just wanted to give you guys an update here. We'll be picking her bike up in a couple hours. So Ian is actually heading out there right now. His buddy Roy went home to grab a trailer. He's gonna go back up there, pick his bike up. But my wife, being such a nice person she is, she said, you know what, ride my bike, I'll hop on with my husband. So at least Ian got to ride back on a 1200 Sportster instead of sitting on the back of my bike, which will be another story here, because it was probably about a quarter mile I had to throw him on the back of my bike. And I'll tell you what, I've never had a grown man on the back of my motorcycle, and once is enough for me. So I don't think I'll ever have another grown man on the back of my bike. Actually, I know 100% sure I won't, unless your bike breaks down and you're with me and I gotta give you a ride. But it was very uncomfortable. So heading over to my brother's house for his Memorial Day party. Gonna pick my son up, probably get something to eat, and then an hour or two we'll be picking her bike up. But all in all, it's a great time. I hope all you guys out there had an absolutely amazing Memorial Day. Keep it rubber side down. If your buddy's bike goes down, please give him a ride. So we just picked up my son. He was having a great time playing with his cousin, and my wife got her bike back. So it's very rare for me to be the one in the truck with her driving. But yeah, so Ian is going to get his bike. They're getting a trailer. They're gonna go pick his bike up. We're riding home. It was a great Memorial Day ride, except for that hiccup earlier. So we're gonna get back to the house, get her bike ready to go, get it a bath and all that stuff, because she hasn't cleaned her bike probably since last year sometime. But just wanted to show you guys the end of our day here, and she's having a blast riding home. She loves that bike.